Moving on from competition then, I want to complete a couple of Do Now Connect activities to make sure we're all confident with where we're at. So the first thing I'd like to do is write down in your own words what you think organisms need in order to survive. Think back to what we covered in the last lesson. I've added a few photos that might help you out. Write down all of your ideas for me now. So this lesson is going to focus on adaptation and survival. By the end of this lesson, you should be able to explain how organisms within ecosystems interact. I've given you the success criteria for today's lesson, as well as a list of key vocabulary on this slide. You'll see at the bottom is the revision guide pages that link to this lesson. On this slide are lots of pictures of different animals and plants with various adaptations. What do you think we mean by the term adaptation? Write down your ideas now. So an adaptation is a feature or behaviour that makes the animal or plant suited to its environment. Now look back at your definition. Is there anything that's similar or anything that's different? Add in anything you've missed now. Stick insects have got a fantastic adaptation to help them to survive. Looking at the photo on the slide, what adaptation is helping this stick insect to survive? Now use your own knowledge to help match the organism to the adaptation it has to help it survive. There are three types of adaptation: behavioural, structural and functional. Behavioural are actions an organism takes, structural is how an organism is built, and functional is how the organism works. This slide gives you a bit more information and examples of these three types of adaptation. There's also a video for you to watch to give you some more examples. Using what we've just learned on the previous slide, I'd like you to sort these adaptations into structural, behavioural and functional adaptations. On the slide is two images of two environments which are very harsh environments for animals to survive in. For animals to survive in these environments, it is important that they are adapted to survive here. Looking at these two pictures, have a go at explaining what you think I might mean by the word extremophile. When you've had your own go, it might be worth researching what an extremophile is and adding to your answer. These animals all live in similar environments. Look at the pictures on this slide. What do these animals have in common? Write down a list of what things you think they have in common. Animals in cold climates have adapted to survive. Arctic animals must be able to keep themselves warm. We lose body heat through our body surface, so this is something that they must overcome in order to survive. Animals in cold climates often have some common features. Some of the features you might have identified include thick fur coats, a layer of blubber under the skin, and their colour, which often changes in summer. But what about their body shape and surface area? Animals that live in cold climates often have a fat, round body shape with far shorter legs and small ears. Why do you think that might be? Write down your answer to this question now. This time you've got a selection of animals that live in a slightly different climate and environment. What do these animals have in common? Hopefully you'll have all picked up on the large ears. Just like animals in cold climates, animals in dry climates also have common features. These include having large thin ears, very little body fat, thin silky fur, long limbs to help spread out the heat, and they often only come out at night. Why do you think that might be? I'd also like you to consider their body shape again, as we've done for the cold climate animals. For animals in dry climates to survive, it's important that they're able to keep themselves cool and cope with lack of water. This means that they're unable to lose heat through sweating. Why is that? I'd now like you to apply what you've learnt so far by comparing these two animals, the desert fox and the Arctic fox. The desert fox is a dry climate animal, whereas the Arctic fox is a cold climate animal. Can you add any adaptations and reasons for the adaptations to your answer? So it might be here that you need to go back and look at the last few slides we've gone over, looking at common features of dry climate animals and cold climate animals. What features do they have? and why do you think that is? We now need to consider adaptations for survival in plants. We're going to apply what we've learned about adaptations in animals to plants now. So the first task you've got to do, I've given you a list of different features on this slide, and I'd like you to tell me which of these features would help a cactus to survive in a dry climate. Think back to some of the ideas we talked about losing heat and water. Which one of these features would be the best feature for your cactus to survive in a dry climate? When you've done that, you need to move on to task 2. Task 2, I'd like you to match the plant feature with the reason for its adaptation. Earlier on, I asked you what an extremophile was. We're now going to return to this. Some organisms live in environments which are very extreme, such as high temperature, pressure, or salt concentration. These organisms are called extremophiles. Using what we have covered in the last 3 lessons, I'd like you to answer these 15 questions. Please make sure that you answer them in full sentences, and if you need to, feel free to go back to the previous PowerPoints to help you.